Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas to everyone listening to us. This is the Wrestling Fans Insight. We're recording episode number 40 here live at the Fans of Pro Wrestling Studios and live on Twitter Space. I'm joined by my co-host, William. How are you?
Here.
Someone got cold in their stocking.
William makes the great short talk person ever, you know? Or small talk person, that's what I meant to say. Things never change.
Wait till you catch me out in nature.
No.
Oh, no.
Well, wait a minute. What's part of nature we talking here?
Out in the woods.
Oh, okay.
If you can even find me.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to wait about 4 more months here the way it's looking, so...
Snowmobiles, bro.
No, thank you.
My goodness.
No, thank you.
Because I was going to Sopranos, you. And let's go hunting.
Yeah. No, thank you. Anyways, we're joined by our other co-host, Carlos. Carlos, Merry Christmas to you, my friend. How are you?
Good. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Oh, great. Wasn't bad enough. Now you're calling me a hoe 3 times. Jesus.
It's the ho train.
Oh, great. I can see I can see the Godfather coming at us for infringement now, so let's hope he gives us some mercy. No, just kidding.
More like WWE. We're going to take your podcast off.
That's true.
They've been wanting to get us for a while. We're that important.
Oh, well, you know, I did get a DMCA restriction on Twitter.
Did you really?
Last week, and you wouldn't believe what it was for.
What was it for?
My recording of I think it was the recording of when they played the Eat Your Head, or Feed Your Head, the White Bunny soundtrack.
Oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, I went to SmackDown, recorded it at SmackDown back in September, mid-September.
Okay.
And they gave me this warning, or they locked my account until I agreed to the whole copyright
oh my gosh,
shit. I'm like,
wow.
You waited almost 3 months to bust me? I think, I think somewhere there should have been what do they call it? A limited stat. I can't remember.
Limited statute of limitations.
Yes, that. Thank you. I suck at legal terms, but yeah, I just like, you waited 3 months. Jesus Christ. Yeah. It just made me laugh. But anywho, I can only imagine what other people get busted for.
Oh my gosh,
something little like that. Anyways, our episode this week, we've dedicated it to, kind of borrowed an idea from the Wrestling Should Be Fun Twitter account, who made a really fun thread and has gotten a lot of good replies on it. Basically, it's our version here. We're going to give every category on who we thought was the top for each category, and we have lots of different categories to go by. So we're going to go ahead and get started with it. And we're going to kind of go out of order because I want to save some of the best categories for last, for sure. But why don't we start off with the fun moment of the year? Carlos, why don't we have you give your fun moment for 2022?
Well, for me, it's like, so when I thought of this category, for me, it's like just the fun moments of the year. And so I gave mine to... Mine goes to the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, because every time they come out now, it's a fun time for the crowd, and you can just see everybody's just so excited to see them when they come out, and the energy is everyone's having a good time. So for me, it goes to the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the Acclaimed went from a team that didn't get a reaction to one of the most
they were heels.
Charismatic teams ever.
Yeah, for sure.
And to have that Scissor Me Daddy, oh yeah. I mean, that thing has totally taken over a lot of things. And it's pretty, I mean, even when you got people now doing the parody of Bask in the Glory, now they're doing it. Scissors, Scissor Me Daddy. I can't do that tune right, but I mean, yeah, I mean, fans have had a great time with that. So,
And they're also like the number one merchandise sellers for AEW.
oh
They
yeah,
surpassed CM Punk.
oh yeah, for sure. Will, your fun moment for 2022?
This is one you're actually not going to believe
Uh-oh.
coming out of me.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So mine is actually Sami Zayn breaking the Bloodlines character.
Oh, dude. Actually, that's mine too.
We saw that one. No,
Yeah, that was mine as well. Sorry, Heather, if you're listening. But yeah, my fun moment was the birth of the term Usi. And, like Will said, Sami Zayn getting the bloodline going out of character, especially live on TV. That you have to give it to Sami. He's done everything he could to get over, and this definitely made him over for sure.
I put it on my list, and I don't even like the term Usi.
No, something just sounds wrong with Usi, but it's between the Scissor Me Daddy and the term Usi. I mean,
There was a lot of fun this year.
those two definitely have to be high up there in the fun moments of the year for any pro wrestling fan. So, but keeping with the fun going, why don't we go with fun wrestler? And Will, let's start off with you.
Okay, so anybody who's actually been to an event and seen Kofi Kingston, he is by far my favorite entertainer. He is just so much fun. Like, he sits there and he actually dances to his opponents' music when they come out.
Yes, he does. I've noticed that quite a few times.
He's always having fun with it.
Yeah, well, Kofi's just always been one of those guys that brings the energy to any event he goes to.
Yeah, he really does bring that power of positivity.
Oh, yeah. Carlos, who is your fun wrestler?
I went with Sami Zayn again, like you guys said, for him when he just be able to pop the Usos and Roman in character, and those guys are seasoned veterans and Usology, he's definitely he definitely has earned the funny one for me, and also just his match with Johnny Knoxville at WrestleMania. I mean, to me that was like one of the top WrestleMania matches, and he played it so well. So definitely Sami Zayn.
For sure. And I know this one's going to kind of maybe shock some people, because I think sometimes wrestling fans take this way too damn serious. But I like this one that I'm going to mention because he does bring a lot of comedy, because his character was never like a real serious one. But in theatrics, it seems serious, but it's not. But my fun wrestler for 2022 is the guy who puts the curse on everyone, Danhausen.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, Danhausen, though you can't really take him as a serious competitor, he does bring a lot to the ring every night, And he's over with the fans. He was over on the Jericho Cruise. In fact, already a spoiler alert for those who don't follow the Jericho Cruise. There's going to be the team of the Ass Boys against, believe it or not, Danhausen and Chris Jericho.
Oh, I believe it again. Face turn coming. I'm so surprised.
And I'm so pissed off now that my wife and I are not going on that cruise, because I'm like, son of a bitch. We had the option to possibly actually have our last cruise transfer over to the new cruise, and now I kind of wish I did that. Oh well, we still had.
I wish with Danhausen they would bring back Britt Baker's talk show and have him go steal teeth from her every week.
Oh God, that would be hilarious. Oh Lord. Yeah, I tell you. So moving on to our next category. Why don't we move on to the moment of the year? You okay, Will?
No.
Actually, I'll start off, and then we'll go to Carlos so you can recoup.
I'm good.
Okay. So, going into the 2022 moment of the year, it was something I don't think any wrestling fan was expecting to happen. And I don't know if it could have came at a better time, because if this didn't happen, then we definitely wouldn't have seen how the tide shifted between the promotions. My moment of the year was the announcement of Vince McMahon retiring as chairman of the WWE. I don't think any wrestling fan would have ever expected him to retire. I think they would have seen him die before he ended up retiring, to be real honest. But yeah, I think with all the allegations that have come forward and have played into Vince's life, if it wasn't for that, he definitely would not have retired, and I think WWE would have still been struggling with trying to keep the fan interest. But that's where I'm going to go. Carlos, what say you?
So for me, like my moment of the year again, and it's just like going off of what people were talking about online, and I mean honestly, like this thing had me like checking like I was going down the Twitter rabbit hole, and I was going down like looking for any information on this because I was just so enthralled by it. It was the All Out Media Scrum, CM Punk.
Yeah,
It was like, I mean, even like I know like for Fightful, like those subscriptions went up like 2,000 because people. I mean, I was just like so like just obsessed with it, like trying to find out the backstory and everything that was happening with that. So for me, it was All Out Media Scrum, and it did change the landscape of wrestling, and it changed a lot of storylines. So to me, that was for me my moment of the year.
Well, and going any further, sorry, Will. Going even further on that, look how it kind of took a blow on AEW for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
The locker room pretty much united shortly after that, but yeah, that's gonna have a long-lasting blow on AEW for a while.
And again, if we see CM Punk back in WWE, like who would ever thought that was going to happen,
Yeah, you would never think Punk would think to go back to that, but after the recent events and more information keeps coming out after that investigation, kind of like what BC Hunter and Jay Myers mentioned on Wrestling with the Truth on their 2022 in review, nobody knows the actual truth. One, because it seems like we find something new every week, but two, none of us were back there. We don't know what really happened, because we're hearing stories of FTR saying that, Punk was much different guy than what's being said from the Elite, but also vice versa too, I don't know. It's just weird. It definitely was an impactful moment for AEW, and I hope.
And for me, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and I really hope they rebound back and give WWE a run for their money. But it definitely took a blow on that company.
And for me too, like the thing that was fascinating for me too about it was like CM Punk got everything he wanted, and it still wasn't enough because he couldn't let go of the past. Like I said, again, the whole thing just fascinates me.
Yeah. Yeah, Will, what was your moment for 2022?
Oh.
Oh, I get a turn?
Did we stump you or
No.
Okay.
No, so my moment was one that unfortunately I wasn't able to talk about because I ended up having to miss that week. But it was the Eddie Kingston Dream match and then the speech afterwards. Just
Nice.
because he dumped his heart.
Oh yeah, he did. You could tell how much it meant to him when he was getting very emotional, and when he asked the director, "Hey, how much time we got left before the event starts?" And he starts rattling off, giving kudos to the crowd, and
Mm-hmm.
he mentions everybody else on the card to focus on and everything, and that's when you got someone who has a heart for professional wrestling, and Eddie Kingston definitely has that. Whether you like him, hate him, love him.
But he took me by storm because I've been watching ever since their first televised event.
Yeah.
And he just came out of nowhere and blew me away.
Yeah. And like I said, I know Eddie Kingston isn't everyone's cup of tea, but you got to respect the fact that he's in the business for heart and not just for himself. So,
Mm-hmm.
And he's one of those guys that I feel like that Tony Khan's dropped the ball on. Like he was so red hot and like, dude, like get him back on TV.
And I think anytime Eddie is on TV or in camera view, he is hot no matter what, because
Yep.
fans are not going to forget that guy. And yeah,
He seizes the moment for sure. Absolutely.
I mean, at his age, it's definitely not going to. We're probably not going to see a WWE call up anytime soon. But Tony really needs to get on the ball and get that guy going, because you're missing out on some money right there. I don't care.
When we were talking about our last episode, I was thinking, because we're talking about maybe Moxley turning heel. Like I was thinking if he feud with Moxley going into a program with MJF, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a killer team going right there for sure. All right, well, I think my next one I'm going to choose. Let's go right into the Rising Star for 2022. Carlos, who's your Rising Star?
Mine's again. This guy is just what from what he's done recently. Like again, like I talked about in our last episode. Like I just become such a big fan of his, and again, I see him eventually main eventing WrestleMania. That's Solo Sequoia.
Awesome. And can't argue that either. I mean, a guy who was robbed from the NXT North American Championship, you know, to seeing what he's done with his bloodline relatives.
And for me, like going into any match, I can see him. I see him winning every match he's in. Like he's believable to me as a contender. Like I could see him standing up to anybody in any match.
Yeah, I think if they do it right, they get either the United States or the Intercontinental Championship on him when it seems fitting, and then down the road as he matures, he'll definitely make a great world or universal champion. So I definitely see his career going that well for him. Will, your Rising Star?
My Rising Star is actually Dante Martin. And
Nice.
he is just somebody that I want to see more of.
Yeah, I mean, he's proved that he can do more than tag team wrestling. And, you know, as long as he stays healthy, who knows if he doesn't do tag team with his brother Darius much longer. We've seen what Dante could do. I mean, we watched him in that championship defense from Hangman Adam Page when he wrestled Dante.
Yeah, the kid's just amazing.
The kid can hang with main event level talent. So, and he's just only 19, 20? Somewhere there. He might be 21.
I think he's 21.
Is he 21? Oh, yeah, I know he's fairly young guy. So, I think there's lots of great opportunity for him as long as he stays healthy, keeps it clean, and provides good matches like he has been.
Yeah.
And my Rising Star definitely goes to Hook. The reason why is because watching Ricky Starks pass the FTW championship onto the younger guy in the same faction when it was still a faction, that says a lot right there. You know, you see the fist bump from Ricky Starks after the match, giving Hook the respect. And now we're seeing Hook, as he goes more and more into programming and wrestling, you can see he's not just one of those guys that only needs to wrestle like a 2 or 3 minute match. The guy can go longer, and I think we're going to see great things. I think we'll eventually, like Carlos says, maybe see a possible future TNT champion right there.
He's definitely making moves.
Yes, he is. We're going to go right into Feud of the Year. And Will, let's start with you.
This one was one that was really difficult for me. And the reason is there's one particular person that I don't like in this.
Uh-oh.
But Jon Moxley versus, CM Punk.
Yeah.
It was just a killer feud.
Well, and it told a lot of the real life story there, too.
Yep.
I mean, the thing is I think where Moxley has pretty much shown that he's going to be an AEW guy pretty much for the rest of his career, maybe. Yeah, I think he's a company guy. We've seen the promos from Adam Page, too, where it wasn't a scripted promo. It was pretty much a freelance promo. It kind of showed the consistency there that the AEW guys were having a hard time dealing with CM Punk, and not to keep beating the dead horse, but it definitely shows that CM Punk was pretty much not welcome by the majority of the locker room.
Yeah.
But watching the story told between Punk and Moxley, I think that pretty much showed us where things were going, but it was a real life feud there.
Yep.
And they did a great job. Carlos, how about you?
So mine's gonna be with CM Punk, but it's CM Punk and MJF. That to me was the feud of the year. MJF. I mean, other people had elevated MJF, but again, for me, like MJF. I mean, Punk just made MJF into that main event star, and just it led to the great feud with Wardlow, and just again, it just the layers of the feud, and just to me, like the thing that sticks into my head, even though we just had a dog collar match, was the proper use of a dog collar match to end up blood feud, and just the promos and the realness too about Jew Boy with MJF and how he just told CM Punk again, just the layers of MJF's heelness in it. Everything about that feud to me was just excellent. So to me, the feud of the year was MJF against CM Punk.
All right. And my feud is one that kind of started not this year, but it actually started the last SummerSlam, where Bianca Belair lost the SmackDown Women's Championship in 26 seconds, but it managed to continue a good storyline up throughout WrestleMania until this past SummerSlam. It was pretty much a year-long feud, and one that I thought was done very well. And for many of you who've been watching the last year, you know where I'm mentioning it. It's Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch.
Good choice. I like that.
I mean, that was one that was just very well done. You don't see a whole lot of storylines that can go a year and keep the fan interest, but that one most definitely did, especially with Becky Lynch's popularity and the way Bianca has kept rising since leaving NXT. I mean, yeah, that was a damn good feud. We're going to go ahead and go on to about the halfway mark. We're going to go right into the pay-per-view of the year. And who did we start off with last? Was it Will?
I think it was me.
Okay, so I'll start off on this one. My pay-per-view for the year was definitely WrestleMania. I thought we saw a lot of great things out of that event. We had, the return of Cody Rhodes going against Seth Rollins. And I will be honest, I was, even up until the night before WrestleMania, I just was sure that Cody wasn't going to return. And the funny part was, my wife and I were watching WrestleMania at the theaters in Las Vegas while I was there for a bowling tournament. And she goes, "Who do you think's coming out?" And it was then I conceded. I said, "Cody Rhodes." She goes, "What? You've been damning everybody saying it wasn't going to be Cody." I said, "It's got to be Cody. It's the only logical choice right now." And she goes, "I'm going to slap you if it's Cody." And the minute his music hit, she slapped me.
Did she really?
Yes. she slugged me in the arm like, "How the hell did you come to terms and think it was Cody?" I said, "Sometimes I don't want to come to terms with it, but I had to on that one. It was the logical choice by then." So, but yeah, that was definitely my pay-per-view of the year. Carlos, what was yours?
And again, like when we're reading the comments, there's a lot of people pick WrestleMania. For me, it was Full Gear. I just thought that was a really well done pay-per-view, and it was a pay-per-view where I literally wanted to see every match, and again for me the thing that I like too, and the thing that I appreciate about AEW's pay-per-views is that you actually get lots of matches. And the one thing for me with WWE is I feel like sometimes there's so much filler in between their matches, and I think to myself, man, you have such a great talent roster. Why can't I just get a couple more matches on this event? So for me, all around, it was Full Gear 2022.
Awesome. Will?
Hands down, mine was Halloween Havoc. for much of the same reason
Nice.
that Carlos said. That was the one pay-per-view that just had me absolutely enthralled in every little aspect of it.
Awesome. Yeah, we're kind of at the halfway mark, so this kind of gets us to a point. We're going to take a small little break and we'll finish off the rest of the categories and then give our shout outs and everything else. So we'll be right back. And we're back, and we're going to finish off our little bonus well, not bonus, but our, I guess, outlook of 2022 here, as I called it. So, all right, we're going to go right into the faction category. Will, who is your 2022 faction of the year?
This one was really hard for me because it was almost a tie.
Wow.
But I went with Death Triangle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Who was your other one?
The other one I was considering was the House of Black, because they really gained a lot of traction this past year.
Yeah, I mean, those are two top two factions for AEW for quite some time now, and the Death Triangle being the current Trios champion.
Yeah, and what solidified it for me for the Death Triangle was just the amount of consistency compared.
Yeah. All right, Carlos.
So I'm in order of Heather. I'm gonna give mine to the Bloodline. I mean, I like the ones that Will said, but for me, you can't deny the Bloodline. I mean, Roman unifying the world titles and the Usos unifying the tag titles, and again, just the reaction they get from the crowd, like we were talking about in our last episode. You know, for us, like Raw from Chicago, I mean, SmackDown from Chicago was subpar. But just having the Bloodline there just enthralls people, and how they all get their cameras out and just the pop that it gets. And these are heels, you know. So for me, it's definitely the Bloodline.
Yeah, and I know Heather's going to beat the shit out of me too, but my faction is the Bloodline. I mean, you can't go without recognizing that Roman's now held the Universal Championship. And yes, I say Universal because technically, he didn't really gain the WWE Championship until WrestleMania, but Roman, so far to this date, has held the Universal Championship. Was it almost 850 days now? Maybe longer?
I put my fist in the air when you said that, just saying.
Oh, but, yeah, hopefully that's in the air and not coming back at our faces, because I'm sure Heather's going to do that once she listens to this.
Yeah.
But,
with the finger up ones, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and the Usos unifying the tag team championships for both brands. I think the only thing that would have made it even sweeter is, you know, somehow finding a way to unify the Intercontinental United States Championships and maybe even having a female in the faction and at least winning one of the women's championships. But I think time's just running too short for the Bloodline to have the interest in the fans here shortly. So I think come WrestleMania, we're definitely going to see Roman lose both titles by then. I think we're going to eventually see the Usos lose the championships by then. And then Bloodline will probably, if they don't continue every once in a while, they'll definitely be dismantling after WrestleMania for sure. With that said,
I wouldn't mind seeing the return of main event Jey Uso than having them turn on Roman. You know, him with them and Solo.
I just don't see it though. I think family just stays with each other after that, but who knows? You could be right. I mean, especially after, you know, getting the William Regal and MJF deal right.
Yeah.
I don't dare question any of your thoughts.
The Jericho face turn coming.
Yeah, we saw that one already. But anywho, who did I start off with on the faction? It was Will. So
yeah.
I will go ahead and start off on the. We're gonna go right into the match of the year. my match of the year, if you didn't get the hint big enough from where I mentioned the moment, or not moment, but pay-per-view of the year, my match of the year was Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, where Cody made his return. I thought they did one hell of a match, especially for having a return superstar come after leaving for so long. And Cody's made some great accolades outside WWE. He's became the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, the Ring of Honor World Champion. He's made a name for himself out there in New Japan Pro Wrestling with the Bullet Club. He's done quite a bit. He had a very, very short stint with Impact, which I don't know if I want to even dare admit to remembering that, but nonetheless, he's done quite a bit for the professional wrestling world, and we've seen where that's got him a good spot in the WWE. So, Carlos, what would you say was your match of the year?
So I'm gonna actually change mine. So when I answered the tweet, I said Cody and Seth Rollins at Hell in the Cell. But if I'm being honest, like, and this is just the match that really comes to me, and my match of the year is Ricochet versus Santos Escobar on SmackDown in the finals of the World Cup for the WWE World Cup. Because for me, like, to me, like, when I think of that match, like, it enthralled me, and it had my attention. And for me, like, it just showed really good storytelling, like the moves they did, and just like going on the guardrail, and just like when people talk about like slowing down the fast action pace. It was just a really well told match, and it made Santos even a star on the main roster. And it's just sad that WWE hasn't capitalized on that. But yeah, I'm gonna give them my match of the year: Ricochet and Santos Escobar.
All right,
Nice.
Will?
My match of the year was actually Roman versus Logan.
No.
Nice.
No,
I like that.
Yeah, definitely a good one.
I don't think anybody really expected how well that performance was going to be.
I did.
Well, I mean, let's talk about that a little bit. Look at The Miz and Jake Paul. What was it, SummerSlam they had that match?
Logan Paul.
Or, sorry, who did I say?
Yeah, Jake Paul's not
He
in
said
it
Jake.
yet.
He said Jake Paul.
God, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say Jake, but Logan Paul, I think, turned a lot of heads when he had his singles match with The Miz, and he did not wrestle like a guy who was half-assing it. He wrestled one hell of a match. The Miz made him look like a star, and his match with Roman, he got injured in that match, but still continued on.
Yep.
He didn't wimp out like some others would. He went full on, did the match in its entirety, and he hung with a guy who is the most dominant guy in professional wrestling right now.
Mm-hmm. Bad Bunny blew me away too.
Yeah.
That's
In fact, I think that's rumored for Logan Paul and Bad Bunny to team against Dom and I can't remember Damian Priest.
Eek.
That's if Logan Paul gets healed up in time. His injury was terrible.
After his performance, I want to see him fight John Cena at WrestleMania. That's the match I want.
Oh, dude, that would be a hell of a match too. I mean, Cena can make anyone look really good. Alrighty, we're gonna go right into tag team of the year. I have a feeling I already know who Carlos has picked. So, Carlos, who's your 2022 tag team?
So I would love to pick the Acclaimed, but I gotta give it to FTR. But again, if I'm being honest, I gotta give it to FTR. Even though, like in people, the argument, when they did the top 100 is they didn't fight as much. But that's not their choice. I mean, winning 3 different titles and it should have been 4. Like they should have beat the Young Bucks to be even back in the day. Just like a team that they won the crowd over just by naturally being themselves, and they go from being again like the Acclaim did too. That went from being heels to faces and just being beloved. My tag team of the year is FTR. Even though I love to say the Acclaim is FTR.
All right, Will.
FTR.
Nice.
It's just undeniable at this point. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be right there with you guys. It's a 3-way tie right there. I put FTR. I mean,
Yep.
I'm sorry, Tony Khan dropped the ball by not having them
Absolutely.
win the AEW Tag Team Championships. Even if it would have been a short run and they somehow reclaimed it from FTR. Yeah, they're. It's undeniable that these guys are not just tag team of the year. I think they're the best tag team. Period.
Yep.
It's
I
really.
mean, they're the ones that really made me start caring about tag team wrestling again. You know, like they were the ones that made me like want to tune into tune into AEW and everything else. You know, and again, and to me too, like New Japan and then AAA had to sign off on them winning those tag titles. So for them to sign off on it and to let them be carrying all those belts speaks volumes about their talent as well.
Well, and if you were to have a Mount Rushmore of tag teams, if FTR is not up there, I might,
Yeah.
I might,
I'm going to question you.
I might have to question you as a wrestling fan, not a sports entertainment fan, but a wrestling fan. So, yeah. Anyhow, let's go into the next one. We're going to go right into the female wrestler of 2022. Will, let's start off with you.
Again, this is one that's just absolutely undeniable. It's Bianca Belair.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I mean, we've seen what she can do. She brings it every match.
Yeah, like that first title reign of hers, she got robbed.
Well, I don't know if it was robbed. I think it was injustice to have her lose it in 26 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody was really butthurt over that for quite some time. I think some still are. But, it's part of the business, too. Eventually they'll do something to get her to rebound. And I think she rebounded quite well.
She did, and that's why I chose her, because she's really held it. She's done well with it.
Yeah. And Carlos, your 2022 Female of the Year.
Mine was what I thought Will was going to pick, and that's Mandy Rose. I think she's killed it in NXT. She defeated again, some of her antics by cheating, but I mean, she took on every challenger, and she never lost the belt for the whole, until the right now. So, and again, that was because of the controversy. So I got to give it to Mandy Rose.
Cool.
And I'm right there with Carlos. I also picked Mandy Rose, even despite the recent affairs that have happened with her being fired from WWE. You can't take away that when she went back to, or not went back, but when she went to NXT, she became the women's champion in short time and has held it for 413 days. That says a lot about not just her work ethic, but as a performer. And she was injustice by the recent affairs. I'm sorry, I'll say it now, but yeah.
And she also made two new stars in the Gigi Dolan and I forget their name, but she made two new stars in the girls that she brought up with her too.
JC Jane.
JC Jane, yeah, she and again, that's what you want from a top star, someone who can help make new stars, and she did.
Well,
absolutely with that.
Well, and even though she lost the championship to Roxanne Perez, and Roxanne Perez, nothing to take away from her. She's an excellent talent, but to see how well she worked with Roxanne in that main event, it was an awesome match. It was just a bummer to see the title reign in, but we all know exactly why she lost the title, and unfortunately, we're going to have to move on because, I don't know if we're going to see Mandy back in WWE any time of the year, or anytime soon, sorry. I hope we do see her back in the wrestling scene eventually once things cool down. It may not be with WWE, but wherever she lands, I think she's going to end up being great wherever she goes, so...
And the one thing too, there was a lot of uncertainty in the NXT brand with the 2.0 and McMahon taking over the creative for a while, but she was the one constant in NXT. So you got to give the girl her props.
Oh yeah, definitely. She definitely one of the most improved females too. I mean, you can't take anything away from her. All right, who did we start off with last? I can't remember.
I think it was me.
Was it you?
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll lead the next one. Going into the male performer of the year, male wrestler of the year for 2022. I hope I get in good graces with Heather now, but mine goes to Jon Moxley. The reason why is because Moxley was set to take a vacation after he lost the AEW championship to Punk. And after all the drama that went in place, I don't want to go into any more detail of it. But for a guy who was willing to put his vacation on hold and do what was best for the company at the time, I have to give him props for that. He's now, 4-time AEW World Champion. I mean, and he took the loss to MJF really well. I thought it was a killer match. He transitioned the championship to a young and rising star there for the promotion, and I don't know. There's just something about Mox's work ethic that says a lot. The guy went through rehab the last year, got himself out from a dark place, and brought himself back, and he rebounded quite well from it. So, yeah, Moxley, he definitely deserves my vote for that category. Carlos, who's your male wrestler 2022?
So my male wrestler of the year too is also Jon Moxley. Again, I'm someone who's in recovery, and it's something I'm not ashamed to talk about. But just for him, to walk away when he was on top, he was one of the top stars of the company, and to just have that awareness of, something needs to change in my life, and then just having the guts, the courage to do that was just a really good example for people. And again, too, just coming back, I mean, he made a lot of stars. He's making Takeshita right now. I can't even say his name, but just the matches he had, he made Wheeler Yuta into a star with the matches that he had with him. And again just the fact that he's willing to give back, the fact that he was the GCW champion. He doesn't forget where he came from. He went and he goes and helps smaller promotions when he could, before he signed his new contract. And just his love and passion for the sport too, professional wrestling. And again, when back even when CM Punk got hurt after Double or Nothing, Mox stepped up to the plate and really took the ball for AEW, and it didn't miss a beat because of him. And he just gives so much to the promotion. And for me, by far, is Jon Moxley. I really have a lot of admiration for the man, and I really can't wait to see what he does next.
Okay, so this one's going to surprise you, John. Carmelo Hayes.
Nice. I like that pick.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's just, of all the wrestlers that we see that are going to really, really take off, go places, he's the one. He is ready.
Yeah. I've said it many times that after he lost the NXT North American Championship the second time and was not able to gain it back from Wes Lee, the guy's ready for main event.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if necessarily Trick Williams is ready to join him up there.
I don't think Trick is.
However,
Trick's not bad, but there's more work.
I don't think it'll be a bad idea to have Trick go up with him. But I think Carmelo is one of those guys that can do it with all on his own. So he's proved it many a times. He's brought a lot of prestige back to the North American Championship. He didn't hot potato it to anybody. He held it for a lengthy reign, and I think having him in the main roster at some point soon, I think we'll eventually see him in Royal Rumble, to be honest. Because I believe Hunter is looking to go 40-man in that Rumble, last I've seen.
And it's hard to deny his precision.
Yeah. I mean,
honestly, the match that I want for if I was like me and Brian were talking about, the match that I would book for WrestleMania if I was booking WrestleMania would be Seth Rollins versus Carmelo Hayes.
Oh yeah, that would be an awesome match.
That would.
If they put
Seth Rollins going to need something, that's my WrestleMania match right there.
I think it would be even better if they put the United States Championship back on Seth Rollins. That would be a great way to get Carmelo Hayes going in the main roster, to be honest.
Yeah, that'd be my match for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania would be, and even just like that, I would think even if he doesn't even the title, just having it'd be like, oh, this is how you make your way onto the main roster and challenging Seth and being like, Seth, like, I'm tired of being the gatekeeper. I see the feud writes itself to me. I think it'd be an amazing feud.
Yeah. All right, and we're going to go into our final category. The promotion of 2022. The promotion we think definitely deserves to be known as the top promotion. Let's start off with Carlos.
So again, for me, the way I look at this, and again, I'm glad that I don't have to. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're here.
My Twitter thing came like saying Twitter's not responding, so I was freaking out for a minute. If I had like, again, I'm glad I don't have to choose, but if I had to choose, like I could only watch one promotion, and then I was being honest about it. For me, it's AEW. Like I just feel like they barely, Tony Khan's lucky, like he has so much talent, like it's such an amazing roster, and again, like I put my money where my mouth is, like I could easily go see WrestleMania this year in LA, but I choose not to. I save my money to go see AEW. Like I'm going to Revolution in San Francisco, and then the following Wednesday I'm going to AEW Dynamite. So for me, my promotion of the year is AEW.
Yeah, I'm actually with Carlos on this one. AEW is my favorite right now. They have so much work to do. We know that. We talk about it every week. But if they continue on the path they're on with the improvements, they're going to shine.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's got to realize AEW and WWE are not the same company.
Nope.
I think that's what a lot of the WWE diehards have a hard time with is they don't understand that AEW is a pro wrestling minded company where WWE is mostly sports entertainment. But we've seen that little bit of shift there at SummerSlam right there when we saw a couple of returns right there. That's when I think we knew that Hunter is going to take the company in the right spot eventually. It'll take some time. Unfortunately, though, I am differed between you two. I gave the slight edge to WWE because I've seen a little bit of that momentum shift where the fan interest went a little bit more toward the WWE since Hunter and Stephanie have taken the reins of the company. My only fear is if Vince McMahon does somehow possibly come back as the CEO of the company, I have a weird feeling AEW is going to come back and take that momentum back from them.
But for me, it's until WWE can get those kind of crowd reactions from like that AEW gets again, and to me, the crowd adds so much to the product too. Like to me, it's just exciting, and it's like watching a rock concert.
Yeah, I'm sorry for my coughing there. If you can hear
good.
it, I kind of got so dry mouthed on that last little bit of talking there. But
and again, I can appreciate what all promotions do, and again, even like with Will's choices of so much of the NXT roster, and again, because I appreciate NXT for what it is too. Like it's the development roster, but I think they have a lot of great action, and so again, I'm glad I don't have to choose between one brand and all. But to me, if I'm given the top choice, it definitely is AEW. That's my brand. That's the one I like the most.
Yeah,
I like both.
Well, yeah, and I like it all. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
We just all have different opinions, and and it's good to have those opinions because if we all thought the same, then it would be a very dull podcast for us for sure.
Right.
Because otherwise, Heather, if she said she loved the Bloodline, no, we'd be doomed. But she has no problem voicing her opinions on that. But we all don't have problems voicing our opinions, and I always appreciate what we each bring to the table each and every week. So, like I said, we can see things change just in an instant with how the industry goes. I mean, we saw that at SummerSlam where I'm like, oh shit, AEW's going to get a run for their money now. Because when you see the difference in the programming, especially the last few years with WWE being under Vince's control, it was just going back to the spot where it was before the Monday Night Wars. Vince, if it's not Vince's way, it's the highway. And we've seen where that took WWE. The one thing I will also note is, I think there's too much division between wrestling fans where They just don't want to be open-minded. And I'm okay with people not liking certain brands. They prefer one brand over another. I mean, that's part of being a wrestling fan, too. In 2023, I just hope maybe some people understand there's no need to hate on the company, but if you don't like it, that's fine. Just don't watch it anymore. And the reason I like these type of awards because it gives us our opinions, and those of us who like everything, I love watching AEW. I love watching WWE. I love watching New Japan Wrestling when I can. If I can never get myself to the point, I can watch Ring of Honor. I just have a hard time with the $9.99 deal and no premium live events. But more than likely,
and I don't know if you just saw too. Like they just Tony Khan had their tapings yesterday for AEW Dark, and he used a lot of Ring of Honor talent on the tapings, and I'm just like, man. I already have no faith in what he's going to do with that. I'm just being honest.
Right, and
he can't help himself.
Well, and more than likely, I'm probably going to end up getting the Honor Club membership at some point. I'm just kind of waiting for the new position to take place, but I love this episode for what it was, even though we borrowed the idea kind of from both Wrestling with the Truth and Wrestling Should Be Fun Twitter accounts. I kind of felt like maybe we should do a similar episode, and this has been a good episode, seeing the different opinions from all three of us. I wish we had Heather here, because I think it definitely would have brought a little more interesting things to the table. So, we're going to take a small break. We're going to come back and give our weekly shout-outs and call it good. Yeah, and that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I do want to give some good news. Recently, I reached out to look for a YouTube specialist for our Fans of Pro Wrestling team, and I have sought out a guy who we've given quite a few shout-outs, but we really do appreciate him not only as a friend, but for what he's done on his YouTube channel in particular. I'll give you a really big clue. He is the guy who does Tap Out Talk on YouTube. He does an excellent job with doing unboxing wrestling crates and covering every pay-per-view and premium live event. And if you haven't got it by now, he goes by the Brian Adkins, also known as Brian Ballard on Twitter. I extended a invite for Brian to come join our team, and he gave me his answer last night and said he'd be honored to join our team. So Brian is going to be our YouTube specialist here starting at the first of the year. So anybody who knows him, please welcome Brian Ballard to our team. He's a really great dude, and looking forward to see what we do with him over the next year here. So thank you, Brian, for being a part of our team, and can't wait to see what we do with you here. But going forward, Carlos, you have any shout-outs this week?
I just, honestly, I just want to shout out all of Twitter. I came on Twitter, I think it was October of last year. I had some bad experiences on Facebook and Instagram, especially with starting my nonprofit. It's just taking my money and all. So I kind of needed a space to come to, and the IWC really just kind of welcomed me with open arms, and everyone too who does the follow backs, and I built a nice little platform on here. So just really everyone on Twitter who interacts with me and really makes it a priority to go on and interact with every day. I just thank you guys for being a part of my life and being a part of my my family. So I appreciate everybody. So a roundabout thank you to everyone.
Will, do you have any shout outs?
I just want to thank all the fans that actually listen. I mean, you've said it a million times. There's so many podcasts out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's literally thousands of wrestling podcasts out there, and BC Hunter mentioned it on his episode on an episode of Wrestling with the Truth. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks back. You know, we're a part of a group called Good Pods, group chat in Twitter, and there are so many amazing people on there. I've shouted out a few of the podcasts that are in that group as well, and so many amazing people that we've gotten to know, and you know, I hope we keep growing those relationships really well. It's also great to hear other podcasts outside wrestling that we've actually started getting a couple that have been getting a little more into wrestling. One of them is Today We Laughed and Learned. They're a couple of great ladies who do a weekly podcast. They do some research on something, but they mostly just kind of have their squirrel moments and laugh out loud, and they eventually tell us something new every podcast. So I appreciate those two ladies very much. And I want to shout out my entire team here: Heather, William, Carlos. I started off with a much different podcast host at the first of the year, and it just didn't turn out very well. We had some kind of disagreements with where this project was headed, and unfortunately, as bad as it sounds, I pretty much told him he needed to go separate ways, and it got a little ugly outside the podcast for a little bit between us two, mainly because one, we actually work with each other, and that doesn't help. But two, you know, I want this project to go in the right direction, and I felt like I made a right choice bringing my brother on. I didn't think he would actually accept this role, and he did. He's done a great job every week. We brought Heather on later on by a request by a fellow Twitter user, Carol Bucks, also to many people known as Carolina, the chocolate lover. She introduced. I've known Heather, not known Heather, but I've met Heather on Twitter before, and you know, we've talked a couple of times, not very much, not as much as we do now, but no, I appreciate both of those ladies very well. And big thank you to Carlos, who I think I followed when I started getting more interactive with Twitter. I think I've actually followed Carlos for over a year now, and Carlos and I have exchanged a few wrestling conversations here and there, and you know, Carlos is a great dude, great wrestling fan, and he's brought a lot to our podcast as well as having insight from a different perspective. So I thank all three of you for joining me on this project. I want to thank Brian Ballard again, he being the fourth extra member on this project. So I think we're going to have great things come in 2023. Also, I've mentioned we're going to try to get a Patreon started to do some extra content, so stay tuned. We'll eventually hopefully have that going probably by February or March of 2023 once we kind of outline the extra projects we'd like to do. But any of you who are listening and do Patreon support, if you have any ideas what you would like to see us do, please don't be afraid to send us a direct message on Twitter, or even, you know, send us a voicemail at 385-367-4772. We'd be welcome to any feedback. But also, thank you, like Will said, to everyone who tunes into our podcast. Not to keep beating the dead horse, but there literally is 1,000 of those podcasts everywhere, but we've had some really good rankings from the Good Pods app, fairly new podcasting app that has come into play. We've seemed to stay within the top 10 of 100 indie wrestling podcasts and top 100 of the regular wrestling podcasts. So that's pretty good accomplishments there for us being in our first year of podcasting. Also want to say, well, I don't know what else I want to say. Carlos, did you have anything else?
I just think I want to say buckle up and get ready, guys. I think we'll be coming back after the new year, and I think 2023 is going to be a really exciting year for wrestling fans, sports, sports and just pro wrestling fans. Let's just call it like it is. I think it's going to be a fun year for wrestling. I think all these companies are going to bring in. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to being a fan next year. It's going to be an awesome time.
All right, Will, do you have anything else?
No.
All right. Well, way to keep it to the point, Will. Yeah, Heather, if you're listening, please get well. We love you. We miss you. We hope to see you after the first of the year. Thank you to Libsyn.com for hosting our podcast. Without them, we wouldn't be on every platform out there. Pixabay for the royalty-free music. Again, you can reach us on Twitter. Carlos, you want to give your two?
Yeah, and just really quick, guys, if you're out for New Year's, please use designated drivers. That's all I want. That's one last thing I want to say. Be safe out there, all holiday season. But yeah, it's at C to the LOS 77, and then at Conquer the Now.
William?
At William, HOPPE 8.
And you can reach me on my two, at WF Insight Podcast, or on my personal, at John WF Insight. And also, I'm going to give Heather's, even though she's not on, but at Bama, BAMA, girl, GIRL, at GIRL _4 _EVA, Bama girl forever, Roll Tide bitches.
Exactly.
Yeah. And again, you can leave us interactive voicemail at 385-367-4772. And you can reach us on our Facebook group, The Fans of Pro Wrestling. And we also have two websites, thefanofprowrestling.com and our podcast website, www.wrestlingfansinsight.com. And that's going to do it. Merry Christmas to you all. Happy New Year. I will be back again just before the New Year with another episode. Not sure what I'm going to quite cover yet, but it will be there, so stay tuned. Also, if you can give us a rating and review on whatever you listen to us, please give us that rating and review. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll even air the reviews on the next episode. So, anyhow, for William, Carlos, and myself, again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, be safe. We'll see you next time.